thing. That's complete.
Yeah.
I don't think that's.
Eventually, it looks like it needs a new sidewalk.
Yeah, and the sidewalk is starting to show wear. So I would motion that we allow him to take it down if he wants to pay for it.
The motion down. It's on the table right now.
So the motion on the table right now is to leave it, so we would have to rescind the motion and then.
Rescind or just amend?
No, because the motion is to keep it
Yeah,
as
okay,
is.
take the motion to, yeah.
So we'd have to rescind that and then make a new motion.
Okay.
Is that?
Well,
Or,
I mean, if it
vote against. Or when you
Yeah.
vote, we have to vote
You
against
have
it.
to vote on the motion.
Yeah, we'll have to vote on this motion.
Right.
All in favor? Did make it.
Opposed?
Opposed, everybody.
Defeated.
Okay, the motion, all.
Okay, a motion that we allow Mr. Bissonnette to remove the evergreens as long as he is willing to pay for that cost of removal.
I would like to add something in there. We actually have been tearing trees out, and they're dead, like there's a lot of trees that are dead. So we're not planting back in. Like, if we're gonna take a tree out, we should be putting 2 trees back in somewhere. Doesn't have to be in the same place. It just said, because there's probably a good dozen trees out there that should be coming down this year.
We see them.
You know, yeah, they're behind you kind of, so.
Do you think that, like, putting the trees back in, because it is on town boulevard, like, putting new trees in at the cost, the
Well,
town's expense?
I guess I'm saying that if he takes 2 trees down, it'd be nice to put some money in a fund to buy 4 new trees to go somewhere in town. Doesn't have to be right there.
Do you want to deal with the motion, or do you want to put that in?
You know, well, you can't just throw that in.
Yeah, right.
We have to discuss it again, to make a policy out of it. Just go with seconder on Paul,
I'll second.
Andre. And all in favor? Carried. Okay, 15.5 is gone. 15.6 is Sask Alert appointees. I will make the motion to pick the recommendation of alternative number 1, appoint CAO White, Public Works Manager Aikens, EMO Forest, 4-8, sorry, and Councilor Lorraine as Sask Alert users on behalf of the town of Gravelbourg. Seconder, Samuel. Oh,
Yeah, I know.
I didn't see.
I know. Yeah, I'd second.
okay. Any discussion on it?
Just one question. I understand the appointment, I have no issues at all with that. That means we're gonna get a whole new emergency manual? And who's gonna look at that?
No, Sask Alert is a provincial program.
Okay, so it's different program
It's
altogether.
not the emergency plan.
Gotcha.
This is, say we had a townwide boil water advisory.
Yep.
You have to encourage the residents to download the app. And then we would use the app and it gives people notification.
Gotcha.
So it's an emergency notification program.
And we're giving that the authority.
Yep.
All in favor? Carried. 15.7. Local Authority Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy, the FOIP. Need a recommendation, or a motion for recommendation? Ray? Number one. Seconder, Deanna. Yes? Discussion?
I understand the importance of it, but I don't feel that that's a motion that the mayor, or a responsibility the mayor should give up.
Yes, I would tend to agree. I would prefer the recommended motion.
So you don't see this as an administration fee?
No, I see it as a higher level because, pardon?
I'm in no conflict?
No.
I don't think so. Under the requirement, I don't think so. I think it leaves an opportunity for information not to reach the mayor's office or council office. Not that it wouldn't, but there's an opportunity there, and I just think the mayor should maintain that responsibility.
But the way I understand it is basically the administration now, when you look at the benefits, but it does not remove the ultimate responsibility. So the mayor would still have ultimate responsibility of that. But what it does is that now it allows the mayor to have, to distance to some extent, because if there is a potential conflict of interest, that may come up this way, administration can deal with it, but ultimately the mayor is still responsible for the report. So I don't think it really changes a whole lot other than more or less the day-to-day transactions. It's much easier for the administration to deal with it than the mayor always having to come in.
Well, I look at having the CEO and the assistant CEO. What if I go on a 5-week holiday?
Well, the recommended motion has that fact in there, but I think we need a representative of council, the mayor. I agree with Councilor Williams that there has to be a council representation for appointment, for that appointment, and I believe that's where the recommended motion comes into play.
I guess, I don't understand why we need somebody from council. Like,
What do you mean?
what
Why
would,
not?
no, I'm trying to understand it. Like, you explain to me why we would
the
need that.
ones responsible
Yeah.
for all the things that
The
happen.
buck
in
stops
this council.
here.
The buck stops here. If we're abdicating our responsibilities, what are we doing?
I don't see it as an abdication of that responsibility. I think if there is an issue that administration feels that we need, I trust that they would bring it to us.
We're not.
You know, for, you know,
I'm not
I
saying
don't think
that.
we can do
Yeah,
that.
we don't, I don't know.
I don't think I would bring anything to council.
He's part of council. Lieutenant, I don't know if those CEO and assistants are employees to the council.
Can you put this in layman's language? Give me an illustration of how this works. What would be an illustration of
If
this?
somebody submits a request for information,
Oh, okay.
okay? Now, the administration is the keeper of the records.
Right.
We are to maintain them, file them, etc. But the way the FOIP is written right now is, although we can collect all those records, we can't make the final decision to release those. Because the mayor has to do that. Like, I can't make that decision to either give the documents or not give the documents.
I see the same thing in a hospital with patient records. The nurses collect all of the information and documentation, but they're not authorized to tell family members or, you know, anyone else how a patient is doing. Somebody higher up has that authority. And I just feel that that's a decision that should be made at a higher level. Like, I understand your position and why it would work, but I don't know, I just don't think it's appropriate for the mayor to sign over those responsibilities.
So when do I know I'm in conflict? Somebody else is gonna tell me?
Well, you should know
Well,
right
you
away.
don't know, you don't know.
No, but I guess what I look at is, I know a lot of people out there.
Well, and so would the
So
CAO.
I guess
Yeah.
the question, if it happens that the mayor's in conflict, what is the process then?
Well, I'd have to learn a lot more about the FOIP to find out.
Okay.
Because the act specifically says the head
Okay.
and the mayor or reeve, not another member of council.
Yeah.
The mayor or
Yeah.
reeve
Absolutely.
is considered the head. So, and that's how it reads, but it also reads that that can be delegated, like that decision making. Now, I can certainly see if there was a breakdown of trust between mayor, council, administration, where you might think that administration is not telling you that they received a request, or, you know, that sort of thing. But this can be removed at any time as well. And it should be reviewed every time there's a change of administration, and every time there's a change, like an election, there's a change of your head, it should be looked at all the time. And that it specifically says that right in the act, that it should be looked at. Every time there's a change of administration, every time there's a change in the elected official.
Has there ever been any issues where there has been a conflict of interest?
Not that I've experienced.
Remember the Privacy Act stuff started, I don't know how many years ago, and it's getting more intense,
Yes,
all the
it is.
time.
So does that mean a lot of things would not go to your desk, but go to Darcy?
No.
Or how does that?
Well, the
I
request
just
would
don't-
still come through our office.
Right.
I mean, technically, anything council-related should come through the office,
Exactly.
right? So, like I said, we're the keeper of the record, so the request should come through.
And then you would go to the mayor and discuss it with the mayor and say, okay, should this be public or not?
Well, and a lot of times a document just needs to be redacted. I don't know if you noticed in your council packages, I've been redacting areas that, you know, because we shouldn't be giving out everybody's public phone numbers, or their phone numbers, right? And,
Okay.
Yeah, they
So-
go for that.
you know,
Yeah,
well, but I've never come across that sort of thing. No, I think there's a possibility of conflicts much more in a smaller town, because you do know everybody, and some people you like and some people you don't like, and, you know, we all know that we have duties with our jobs, whether it's an elected official or administration. And, you know, you might have somebody comes in that wants something and, you know, I'm picking on you. The mayor says, I don't like that guy, I'm not gonna give this to him. I'm not sure what my place is in that case, because he's my boss, so you're my boss. I don't know if that's ever happened. It's just likely case studies on the Privacy Commissioner's website. They have a lot of information.
It sounds like we're trying to invent something that doesn't really happen. If people work well together, I think it's,
Exactly.
you know, I don't think we have to pound in the thing that we're boss, 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 and everything has to. But I don't know, I can't really see.
Well,
What we're
you know, I would
saying.
think like all of us, when we take an oath of office, that one of the things within that oath of office, that we maintain neutrality and professionalism, so, you know, as it stands there, I think it does fit within that, and if there is a conflict of interest, that would be something that we would have to address at that time. How do we deal with that?
I would think with something like that, it would go further and right into the code of ethics.
Yes,
There would be
yeah,
a
and that's
complaint,
usually
there
what
would be a
address that.
complaint on the table to be addressed under code of ethics.
Yes.
That would be my guess.
okay,
My,
so
my feeling on this one is, right now, the mayor has the final authority, leave it as it is. Don't delegate, don't change it.
is there a course on that stuff?
Oh, yeah, budget free stuff.
No detail.
And I'm happy with the initial motion. Doesn't really matter.
Okay, what's the motion on the table now?
Number one,
Pass over.
delegate duties of the head to the municipality as outlined within Lavoie's legislation to the positions of CEO and assistant CEO.
Gonna call the question?
Okay, all in favor?
Opposed?
Opposed? Okay.
Did I have another chance to talk about, no.
I'd like to make the recommended motion. The mayor of the town of Gravelbourg delegates the duties of the head of the local authority as outlined in FOI to the chief administrative officer and assistant chief administrative officer for all provisions of the act that state that the head may or must be something, and further understood that the mayor remains responsible and accountable for all actions and decisions made under this delegation.
Where'd you get that from?
The recommended motion.
Okay.
And did you say the mayor
That
delegate?
the mayor remains responsible and
remains.
accountable for all actions and decisions made under this delegation.
Okay,
But that's exactly what it was.
yeah.
No, it wasn't. Number
So
one was
recommended
not
mo-
that.
Recommended alternative one, and then this is recommended motion.
The other one had nothing to do with the mayor. I wanted the recommended motion where the mayor remains responsible.
Well, the mayor would remain responsible either way.
Not really, not the way that motion was.
Now, we take number one, it's not mentioning mayor.
But in the recommended motion, it does say.
It does say.
Yeah,
It
if
states
you
it
read
here.
the very last
But
yellow.
the number one says it's moving it over to the CAO,
Yeah,
assistant CAO, where the recommended motion is what Paul outlined, it's the opposite.
That's, to me, is clear. The council still has responsibility. And our head is to be the mayor.
so he's delegating his duties
Yeah, it says the mayor remains
to the
responsible.
CAO.
No.
He's still responsible, but he's
Yeah.
delegating the
Yes,
duties.
exactly. They are still the keepers of the records. They get the material.
Which is point number one.
They consult, no.
No, it really reflects more of point number two. Alternative number two, do not delegate the duties of the head. That's, that's-
Exactly.
So you're not, there is still maintaining that the mayor has ultimate responsibility.
Yep, I see number two as being appropriate.
But,
his
no, but
recommended
the
motion-
recommendation
Yeah,
that
I
Paul
know,
says
I understand why he motioned.
reflects
but-
more of two than it did number one.
Okay.
Do we have a seconder, and are we gonna call a question?
Just wait, Paul.
We
No,
got
I-
the
I-
question.
Right now, right now, Paul, there's still some confusion as to that.
We
Why
need a
is the
seconder
question?
before we're actually supposed to discuss it.
Yeah, right.
Sam?
Yeah.
Okay, so now,
Well, I just voted on the last one, so it's okay. Either way, it doesn't matter to me, so I'll second.
okay, anybody want to read that motion out loud again?
Okay.
Clearly.
That the mayor of the town of Gravelbourg delegates the duties of the head of the local authority as outlined in the Local Authority Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act to the chief administrative officer and the assistant chief administrative officer for all provisions of the act that state that the head may or must do something. And further, it is understood that the mayor remains responsible and accountable for all actions and decisions made under this delegation.
Everybody happy with that?
I was just gonna ask Carol, that fits what we're all debating here, that it stays with the mayor and.
I think so. I mean, the act is very clear that even if he delegates his duties, he or she, they're still ultimately responsible.
Yeah,
The act is clear.
yeah.
The motion just basically
Is
says
it,
what's in the act.
is it council then?
Yes.
And I'm still of the same opinion that he not delegate.
And that's what it says, that's what we're voting on right
No.
Yeah, but he's,
now. No?
the motion is to delegate, and I'm saying,
I
Don't
can't go
tell
into
me.
the records. I can't go downstairs and
No.
do the stuff, that's not for me.
That's not fair.
So you have to delegate them to do something.
they would provide you with the support you need, I get that. But you have to make the final decision as to whether or not you would release information to the public.
And that's what I'm getting out of this.
No, you're saying she can make that decision,
No, no.
because you're delegating. And if the shit hits the fan, then it comes back on you. But the decision to release it or not release it, is it your decision or is it delegated? And I'm saying, do not delegate it.
Okay, where do you see that in that recommended motion? I don't see that.
Okay, if you look at alternatives, number 2, do not delegate the duties.
So I guess I've got one more.
Okay, the duties, though, I'm not allowed to go into the records. And I don't want to go into the records. That's their job. Totally. They will dig it all out. And I still make the final decision.
Well, you're delegating the decision though, that's what I'm saying. You're not delegating the responsibility, but you are delegating
Okay,
the
well, I'm
decision.
getting totally mixed up here.
I'm sorry.
Really,
I understand what Teresa is saying there,
That is what the
what
resolution
this
says.
resolution is doing,
That
yes.
he's delegating the duties outlined in the act that says it's his duties. So the duties he's delegating to us. So the decision, yes.
That's right.
But he can't delegate the responsibility. The
Yeah,
responsibility, you cannot delegate the
Still holds
responsibility.
to the mayor.
He
it
still
still
holds the
falls to the mayor,
responsibility.
yes.
If I made the decision, he is responsible for my decision. That's what it's saying.
So ultimately, that decision, or that point is number 2, do not delegate. He's still got the responsibility, but he's responsible for what goes on. Anyway,
Yeah. Number 2, we would collect all the information, that's our job
Yeah.
anyway.
yeah,
If a request came in, we would get it, we would collect it, we would give it to the mayor, he would make the decision.
That's number
That's
2.
do not delegate.
yeah,
Do not delegate. The mayor would have to make the decision. But option number 1, you still collect all the information, you look at the information,
And then make the decision.
and the mayor allows you to make a decision, but the mayor is ultimately responsible
Yeah,
for
correct.
the decisions that are made.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
that's the difference between.
That is
Yeah,
the difference.
We understand this, the mayor delegates the
mhm.
CEO and the assistant CEO to look into this matter.
Okay, so that recommended motion is no good. We have to vote this one down, right?
It depends on what you guys want.
Well, no, well, we've got a motion and a seconder for this motion right here, so now we're gonna have to start again for
Yeah.
number 2.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all in favor of the motion that's on the table,
Recommended motion?
recommended motion,
All in favor? Fire.
okay? Against?
Against?
Oh, yeah. Opposed? Okay. Make a motion.
So I would like to make a motion that council do, or mayor do not delegate the duties as head in the FOIP legislation.
All second.
No discussion, please. We're just gonna come up with another motion. So let's
We
just
have a
vote.
right to discuss.
Yeah.
And it was clarified this time.
This is exactly what the recommended motion was.
All right, all in favor?
Yes, Teresa, Deanna.
All right.
I like to make you guys think.
We're sweating that one.
Can we go back to my motion?
Yep.
Okay, because,
That's good, but it helps us to understand this, right?
Yeah,
So,
yes.
This is good.
and that fits what you guys wanted so badly, is to the mayor's.
The mayor maintains it, yeah?
So such time that I do on a cruise for 2 months, if there's a flight, nothing happens.
Or maybe
You
you
would have a deputy mayor.
I was
You
gonna
can
say,
stay in contact. with
you
them.
can always appoint them, if you're planning on going away for a month, we have a council meeting somewhere in there.
Yeah.
You can bring a motion to table to appoint somebody in your absence.
Or
And
you just.
Yeah, you can either appoint somebody or the deputy mayor. So-
Yep. Yeah,
Or
but
you
you
can
would still have to
No, you
be,
can stay
well,
in contact.
deputy
Yeah,
mayor
always
would be
still be
considered the
considered.
head during that time period.
Yes.
I'm just saying, if it was the other way around, the CAO goes on a vacation for 2 months, then you'd have the same situation. So you'd have to figure out a way to delegate that. So,
Request for decision 15.8, farmer's market request. Teresa, you want to make the motion? Recommended?
Yes, I would like to recommend that we do allow Suzie Park for the farmer's market and the stay stage and electricity for entertainment. But I have a question on it, I'll bring it up after.
Seconder, Raymond. Discussion. You have a question?
Well, the only thing is regarding the farmer's market guidelines, talking about no singing and stuff. Like, what kind of entertainment will we have on the stage? I guess we could bring in a boom box or something like that, but anyway, I do agree, and I feel that they should be allowed to
There's a lot of local musicians, they wouldn't mind using it for Saturdays or Friday night, Saturdays, to play music at large.
Is it play music or is it for the children to entertain? Because
Yeah.
that's a different,
It-
that's a
yeah, it's
totally different
entertainment.
scenario.
yeah.
And from what I'm gathering here, it says if it's singing or anything to do with that,
Singing
you
and
have to
shouting.
follow different rules.
Yeah,
It's not the same.
And she's outlined it here, she has
Yes.
the farmer's market guide.
That stage was built by money that somebody left in a will for exactly that. Use it.
yeah.
And I agree,
The
if
stage
it
can be used.
doesn't, but if the COVID rules don't allow it,
Yes.
then it doesn't allow it. So
Yeah.
you're just gonna have to be very careful on
Yeah.
how the children use it.
Well, are you speaking with me?
And
To me?
everybody, yeah.
I was just gonna say, and that's why, like, in the recommended motion, I specifically put subject to adherence of the guidelines at the time.
Right.
Because
that could change.
we
Yes.
don't know if they're gonna get, they might say no farmers markets are allowed, and then they can't have a farmers market.
Exactly.
Right, so the current guidelines talked about singing, and I don't know if that's gonna get loosened up.
Yeah.
So they have to follow the guidelines of the
Exactly.
time,
Yeah.
And what do they normally do for washroom facilities at the park during farmers market? Do they come into the town hall?
No.
They hold it.
and then they go home.
All right.
It's not like a big enclosed facility like your cities.
Yeah,
This is-
no, I,
this is-
It's kind of a come and go thing, so.
Yeah.
And we have a compost bin in the corner.
no, I think we've got the stage, we should use it, we should allow them to use it. We definitely need the farmer's market. I'm all for it.
All in favor? Sam was first.
Yeah. I like the farmer's market.
That was recommended motion.
Yeah.
15.9 was swim club request. Has to do with dollars and cents, sir. Who's ready to make the recommended motion?
I'll make a motion to agree to the date proposed by the GSC, but increase hourly rate to $72.50 an hour.
Seconder? Teresa? Discussion?
So I read all that, I read what you put down, Carol. So the original was $100 an hour, right? Is that kind of what's,
Our rate on the records is, yes, currently, our rate is $100 an hour. So they're asking for the reduced rate of 65.
yeah,
We did discuss this item a little bit at our staff meeting, and we just wanted to make clear that the number of children, although I know it affects the swim club, their revenues, it doesn't affect our expenses. Our expenses are the same, whether there's 8 children or 30 children. We still have to have the water ready, have the lifeguards, have the maintenance done, have the lights on. So our expense doesn't go down, so, which is why Leanne recommended another rate.
Well, and we all agree that the swim club is a very important element for our pool. That made all the difference in terms of revenue for that pool once we started the swim club. And I think, but I think the difference of the $600 or something
don't understand is why we would cancel it if the weather outside is bad.
That's the law.
That if the weather outside the pool is bad, you cancel.
If there's any
Okay,
potential
yes,
lightning,
okay, I could understand that,
everybody
yeah.
has to leave the pool.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
They
Yep.
kind of caught with that, you know,
Yep.
they beyond their control.
Yeah, no, I got that, okay, thank you.
All in favor? Carried. 1510 is the Canadian Union of Postal Workers Support Request. Someone want to make a, recommend a motion?
I recommend we receive and file.
Seconder,
I'll second.
Deanna? Discussion?
Well, I think we should join 1,000 municipalities that are agreeing with it. I think when you look at what they're trying to do, rural Saskatchewan would be a huge benefactor if their plans to turn it into banking institutions came through. And that's something we've been screaming for years. And I think just giving them a letter of support, in my view, is important. It could be the difference between having banking in Kincaid, for instance, again, and never having any banking facility there. So to me, I think it's a very good push that they're trying to do.
But it's not the union's position to push.
Well, it's the employee's position to push.
It's some of the Canada Post employees, not even all of them. If the request came from the federal government or from Canada Post, I could probably support it. I don't per se have an issue with what they're suggesting.
Well, the federal government tried for years to shut down all our post offices, Counselor. And they're trying to prevent that from happening, and this could be the difference.
But CUPW does not make decisions.
No, they aren't, and they're not claiming, they're simply saying, as a lobby group, we're just asking for a letter of support. That's all it is. I don't see why.
And what they're wanting is to create banking systems in the post offices.
Yep.
In France and in Europe, every postal system has it. They make lots of money, they're great. They're in all the rural communities. I use them in little towns when we go there to visit family. It's just a positive move for the rural. For the cities, it's not a big deal, they don't care. But for rural areas, we'd see a huge benefit. Like as I say, Kincaid would finally get our bank back again. Mancoda might even get,
They have a bank.
it's, back, they still have their
Pick on the
CU.
towns that don't have banks.
But much of our banking is now moving online.
Canada Post had banks for 100 years.
No. I know the material you sent me, but